The rain had been falling since dawn, turning the narrow village road into a ribbon of mud, when the single father saw the black luxury car stuck at the edge of the fields, its polished body absurdly out of place among the thatched roofs and grazing cattle. Inside that car was a woman the world called untouchable, powerful and cold. Yet fate had reduced her to silence and stillness, trapped in a wheelchair, staring out at a village she never imagined she would need. In that moment, one exhausted village man and one wheelchair-bound billionaire were about to collide in a way that would quietly change both of their lives forever. Before the story pulls you any deeper, pause for just a second. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the idea that one small act can change a lifetime, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that need them most. The man was named Imran, a single father from a forgotten village where electricity flickered more often than it stayed on, and dreams were learned to be folded small so they would not hurt when crushed. His wife had died 5 years earlier during childbirth, leaving him with a frail newborn daughter and a grief that never fully healed. Every morning before sunrise, he worked in the fields owned by others, his hands cracked and swollen, his back bent more by responsibility than age. Every evening he returned home to a one-room mud house where his daughter slept curled beside a lantern, her small breaths the only thing that kept him moving forward. That morning, he had been walking home early because the rain had ruined the day's labor. When he saw the car, his first instinct was fear. People like that did not stop in villages like his unless something had gone terribly wrong. As he approached, he noticed the driver standing helplessly in the rain, shouting into a phone that had no signal. Then Imran saw her in the back seat, the woman whose face he vaguely recognized from old newspapers used to wrap vegetables at the market. She was pale, her eyes sharp yet exhausted, her hands resting uselessly on a blanket over her legs. She was Arohi Malhotra, one of the richest businesswomen in the country, a billionaire whose name commanded boardrooms and terrified competitors. An accident years earlier had taken away the use of her legs but not her authority. Yet authority meant nothing on a muddy village road with no network, no help, and a storm worsening by the minute. Imran did not understand wealth beyond rumors, but he understood helplessness. He had lived with it since the day his wife's heartbeat stopped. Without expecting anything, he guided the driver, helped push the car free with the strength born of survival, and when the engine finally coughed back to life, he thought his role in her story had ended. But fate lingered. A mile later, the car broke down completely near the village well. The driver panicked, insisting they had to reach the city before nightfall. Arohi, however, looked out at the darkening sky and then at the village houses glowing faintly with oil lamps. She made a decision that shocked even herself. She ordered the driver to leave and get help from the nearest town, leaving her behind in the village until morning. It was not courage that guided her choice, but exhaustion. For the first time in years, she was too tired to fight. That was how Arohi Malhotra ended up under the care of Imran, a man who owned nothing but honesty and resilience. He carried her wheelchair through narrow paths, past curious villagers who whispered and stared, into his small home. The space was humble to the point of disbelief. There was no bed for her, only a woven cot, no bathroom inside, no luxury she had ever known. Yet there was warmth, a quiet dignity that money had never bought her. Caring for her was not easy. Imran had never tended to someone with such needs. He struggled to help her move, to keep her comfortable, to cook food that would suit her delicate health. His daughter watched silently, wide-eyed, sensing the gravity of the moment without understanding it. Arohi, used to commanding trained staff, now depended on a man who apologized for every small mistake, his voice heavy with humility. Days passed, then weeks. The car could not be fixed quickly, and Arohi's health worsened due to stress and old injuries. Doctors from the city refused to travel to such a remote place unless paid exorbitant fees. Imran sold his goats, borrowed from neighbors, and walked miles to fetch medicines. He never asked who she was or what she could give him. To him, she was simply a human being in pain, and that was reason enough. Slowly, something began to change. Arohi, who had built her empire by trusting no one, found herself watching Imran with a quiet curiosity. She saw how he spoke to his daughter with gentleness despite his exhaustion, how he shared his last piece of bread without hesitation, how he prayed not for wealth but for strength. In the silence of the village nights, with rain tapping on the roof, she felt emotions she had buried under contracts and competition. For the first time since her accident, she did not feel like a burden. Imran, too, changed. In caring for her, he rediscovered parts of himself he thought had died with his wife. He began to believe that his life could hold more than survival. He spoke to Arohi about his dreams, small ones, like sending his daughter to school, like building a brick house someday. He never complained about fate, and that quiet acceptance shook Arohi more than any tragedy she had faced. The villagers watched with skepticism at first, then admiration. Rumors spread that the poor single father was wasting his life on a woman who would forget him the moment she returned to her world. Imran heard these whispers but ignored them. Kindness, he believed, was not a transaction. When help finally arrived weeks later, a convoy of vehicles and medical staff filled the village, turning dust into chaos. Arohi was taken for treatment, her condition stabilized. As she prepared to leave, she looked at Imran standing beside his daughter, his clothes worn, his face calm. She realized that the strongest man she had ever known was one the world would never notice. Back in the city, Arohi returned to her empire, but she was not the same. The luxury felt hollow. The applause felt distant. She could not forget the man who had given her dignity when she had none. Quietly, without publicity, she began to change things. She arranged for Imran's daughter's education, built a small clinic in the village, and ensured fair wages for workers like him. Yet she did not tell him the source of these miracles. Months later, she returned, not as a billionaire, but as a woman seeking something real. The village welcomed her not with awe, but with familiarity. This time, she stayed longer, learning the rhythms of simple life, sharing meals, watching sunsets that cost nothing yet felt priceless. The bond between her and Imran deepened, not through grand gestures, but through shared silence, shared struggles, and shared humanity. What grew between them was unexpected, unplanned, and profoundly healing. It was not the love of fairy tales, but the kind forged in hardship, the kind that sees scars and stays anyway. Arohi found in Imran a man who loved her, not despite her wheelchair, but without even seeing it. Imran found in Arohi a partner who respected his past and believed in his future. If this story is touching something inside you, if it reminds you that love and kindness can bloom in the most unlikely places, please pause near the end and show your support. Like the video, share it, and subscribe. Your engagement helps keep stories like this alive. As the seasons changed, so did their lives. Imran never became rich in the way the world measures wealth, but his life became full. Arohi never walked again, but she learned to stand in ways she never had before. Together, they proved that love does not arrive in perfect circumstances. It arrives when two broken paths cross and choose compassion over fear. Before this story ends, we have one special request for you. Please comment below and tell us, do you believe one act of kindness can truly change a destiny? In the quiet village evenings, as lanterns flickered and laughter echoed softly, a single father and a wheelchair-bound billionaire rewrote what strength, love, and success truly meant. And long after the world forgot their names, the impact of their choices continued, living proof that the richest hearts often come from the poorest places, and the most unexpected love stories are the ones that feel the most real.